Hello, everyone. Mr. Minix, my name. Math is my game. I'm joined today by, uh, I think I've said this in the past, by my academically one of my, if not the top performing Algebra 2 class. Have I said that before? Okay. Every class has got its own unique flavor to it. So anyways, my fifth grade class, they really don't like watching the videos back, but so if you're watching this video back, sorry about your luck. But they're going to give you shout outs today. First shout out is to Miss G gets a shout out, and Phil gets a shout out. All right. So we'll probably do some more shout outs in a minute. So if I'm taking notes on this, I would be writing down the title. It's 4-7-7.7, whatever. It's always interesting when sneezes occur when we tape this. If we play it back, if somebody sneezes at the same time, it's kind of weird, like a parallel universe type thing. It reminds me of Shakira every time I say the universe. The universe. Anyway. I would like to hear Shakira say the quadratic formula. I bet you that would be interesting. Anyway. So 4-7 is about the quadratic formula. If I'm taking notes, I would write down what the quadratic formula looks like. And to make it big enough for all the world to see, I'm about to make it bigger with my magic marker here. So here we go. That is the quadratic formula in its glory. If I can make a rectangle, it will get bigger. There we go. Third time's a charm. So the variable x can be calculated for using the formula -b. And then it's weird because when we solve this on pencil and paper, we use a plus or minus sign. Some people who've already taken the 4.4 to 4.7 quiz tried to put a plus or minus sign in Math Excel, and Math Excel says, no, we don't like that. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So plus or minus, and then there's a big radical. Notice that there's a lot of stuff under the radical. The b squared's under it, so's the minus, so's the 4, so's the a, and so's the c. And then notice how big the fraction bar is. Everything's over 2a. Everything is over 2a. So that's the formula. Hopefully you had a minute to write that down. And there is another facet to this that if I didn't bring attention to it, I would not be doing you any favors. Right here. Now they say it's to solve that kind of equation. The implication is you have to put the equation in standard form first. You have to put the equation in standard form first. You have to put the equation in standard form first. What does that mean? Well, it means x squared's got to be the very first term. And then what? It means that after that, you've got to have the linear term following it so you know how to identify the right b value. And then what? And then you've got to have the constant on the left side. We have a question. So the question is this where you divide it? It's an interesting question. If we were to complete the square on what we've got here, we would actually end up at the quadratic formula. But we don't need to do all that. No, the one time when we were showing that, that's kind of where we're showing where the quadratic formula comes from. And it actually comes from completing the square on this. So good question. Okay. So I have a question. What happens if you misidentify the a value? In other words, if you get the sign wrong when you identify the a value, are you going to get the right answer? What if you get the sign wrong when you identify the b value? Are you going to get the right answer? No. What if you get it wrong on the c? What if all your A, B, and C all have the opposite sign of what somebody else's did? Would you get the same answer? That's an interesting question. The answer to that is actually yes. But anyway, I don't want to confuse anybody. Let's just go to a first example. Here we go. First example, it says, what are the solutions? Question mark. And it says, we really want you to use the quadratic formula to do this. So being a good student, I'm going to follow their directions, and I don't want to give anyone. I don't ever want to. What's the best way I could put this? I don't ever want to prejudice anyone's beliefs based on my beliefs, but I have some strong feelings about the quadratic formula. I really do. So anyway, here we go. What's my A value? 2. What's my B value? My B value is -1. Now, can I get the right C value here? I could, but the equation's not in standard form, so maybe I need to be a big fine woman and back that thing up. Maybe I need to slow my roll. Maybe I need to realize that I didn't follow the directions yet and I didn't put this in standard form. It's 2x squared minus x, and then what? -4, and then what? Equals 0. Thank you. So when we identify the C value, then the C value is going to equal -4. Good. Okay. So hopefully you can see, no pun intended, right off the get-go that if you don't have this thing in standard form, you're setting yourself up for disaster. It could be disastrous. All right. Now, being resourceful, some students like to go and use the resources, and I can relate to that. I have no problem with students using the resources. What I do have a problem with is students not learning for the sake of learning, but getting an answer for the sake of getting an answer. What are you talking about? I'll show you exactly what I mean. So let's go to Math Way. Okay? Now, if you were to use Math Way to solve this, it's going to give you an answer. And I'm going to know that you used Math Way to solve it based on the answer that you write or type in Math Excel or put on your paper. We've got 2x squared minus x minus 4 equals 0. Solve using the quadratic formula. Hey, look at that. Answer. So, whoa. You know what this actually did? This actually did put it in the right format and everything. Last time I tried it, it didn't work like that. Maybe I don't want to tell it to solve using the quadratic formula. Maybe I just want it to solve for x. Do you see how the answer looks a little different? Oh. So I want to copy this down. I do want to copy this down. If you put this answer on your paper, like that, I will know that you used Math Way, and I will know that you didn't use the quadratic formula. If you try to enter into Math Excel that expression, Math Excel is not going to like it. Let's just work this out the right way and see what's going on here. So x equals -b. So how am I going to write that? X equals, isn't it going to be minus 1? And somebody said +1, you're right, it is going to turn into a +1 eventually. But let's set it up. So plus or minus the square root of what? Plus or minus the square root of what? -1 squared. Houston, we have a problem. If we don't put it in parentheses, and if we don't put it in parentheses using the calculator, we will mess that up. And if you don't believe me, check this out. Sometimes my calculator doesn't want to work. Here we go. So a lot of people will enter -1 squared, and they say, well, the calculator tells me that -1 squared is -1. Yeah, it lied to you. Well, it actually didn't. You lied to it. You said, let's take the opposite of 1 squared. What you meant to say is let's square the quantity -1. And you might think, well, that's not a big deal. It is. It's a difference between the right answer and the wrong answer. Anyway, so it's b squared minus 4 times a. So 4 times 2 times c, so times -4. My square root still encompasses that. This is all over 2a, so all over 2 times 2. Is everybody all right with the setup? Okay, we're almost done. We are almost done. I think 2 more steps and we'll have it. Somebody said the opposite of -1 is +1. They're right. Do I need to write a positive before that one? No, this is varsity math. Okay. If you want to, that's fine. It's not wrong, but it's not necessary. So we got plus or minus the square root of, what do we get when we square -1? That's supposed to be 1. One thing I need to bring great attention to, no matter what, anytime you square that term, if it's not positive, then you did something wrong. So that's going to be 1. The next term is another spot where people mess this up. We're taking -4, and we're multiplying -4 by +2, and we're multiplying that result by -4. Now, the commutative property says it doesn't matter what order you multiply in. So what are we going to get there? 32, really? Okay. What about 32? Plus 32, yeah, because a negative times a negative is a positive. So plus 32. And then this is all over 4. So then, our final answer is that x equals 1 plus or minus the square root of 33. And everything is over 4. Now, for Math Excel purposes, that's not going to get it done. If you're doing the homework tonight, Mr. Minnick will say, you know what? Well done. You got it. That's the right answer. You've done what the directions ask of you. You solved this by completing the square, and it's right. If you're answering it with Math Excel, it's not going to like that. In Math Excel, what are you going to need to put in their box? You're going to need to put 2 answers separated by commas. And they don't want decimals. They want exact answers. So what are you going to need to put? 1. I'm going to start with the minus if you don't mind. 1 minus the square root of 33 all over 4. How's that? That's one of the answers, right? Now, here's the cool thing about Math Excel. If you're good on a computer, you can actually copy that and paste it. And so it's going to be 1 plus the square root of 33 over 4 then too, right? So what if you would put 1/4 times 1 plus or minus the square root of 33? Well, I'm going to know that you used Mathway. Is it wrong? No, but I know that you used Mathway and you didn't do this using the quadratic formula. How's everybody doing? Okay. Well, we have just enough time to look at one more example. It says use the quadratic formula, but I'm going to say be a rebel. Be a rebel. Can I go back? Sure. To here? Back to here, we got a question? Question. Could we simplify the radical? Let's think about that. The square root of 33, are there any perfect square factors bigger than 1? No, that's it. It's been real. It's been fun. I'm out of time. I got to stop because the bell's about to ring, and we got to get the homework before we pass out.